Sir, please share with us your views on what do companies expect from a B School graduate.
Let me start by saying that most companies would expect the equivalent of the Indian Matrimonial Act. They would want the best students, the most intelligent, the most hardworking, the most productive, and you really can't expect to have that first off. So you have to be realistic. What I will do is I will put down my thoughts, share my views on what I believe companies should expect. I grant that many companies actually do expect and are right in expecting, but I want to say that my views are what companies should expect. I put these expectations into two categories. The first would be what I call the first level expectations. The first level expectations start with companies expect that management graduates are sound in their basics, not only of the business processes, including planning, organizing, controlling, and leading, but also the processes associated with the functional areas of management. So these basics are necessary as far as companies are concerned. They would also expect analytical focus with questioning mentality, not to accept anything just because somebody told us or that it is given, but to question and then decide for each person whether one should do something and in what manner. There needs to be the commitment and dedication. Without that, no person can be a contributing employee. And then at the end of it, there needs to be a convergence that every employee should expect while pursuing and furthering her or his personal goals, they should be congruent with the larger organization goals. Now that's the first level of expectations. The second level of expectations go beyond that. They go into the larger sphere of corporate expectations and corporate commitments. And in this, again, I would say that there are 3 or 4 issues. The first is that they would expect that every employee has this capability of learning through discernment. Every one of us has good and bad experiences, and we should be able to evaluate and discern what are good and what are bad. The bad experiences we attempt not to repeat. The good ones are those that not only would we expect to repeat, but to build on. The second of these larger secondary expectations is every employee should incorporate a true sense of customer orientation. A lot of talk goes on about customer orientation, but I put it very simply that every employee and every organization has to look at the customer as somebody whom we have obligations to. So it's not just a way of enticing, gaining, and appreciating at a superficial level, but a deep commitment to the customer. In fact, as I said, to consider that we have a set of obligations to the customer, to meet whatever we promised, our claims, to meet them fully, certainly in a better way than our competition. Every employee would be expected to incorporate that customer orientation truly. And then the next thing is that we all have heard about stakeholders, and the employee stakeholder is one of the 8 stakeholder groups, and every employee should embrace the concept of stakeholder, and that is to have not only a long-term interest in the company and its success, prosperity and longevity, but to be able to meet the rightful expectations. And while the employee has got his or her own set of expectations, which includes competitive remuneration, congenial working environment, opportunities for growth and development, and finally opportunities for self-actualization, the employee has to accept that he or she has their own duties towards the larger organization and its ultimate success and prevailing in a competitive environment. Finally, I believe that the expectation of corporates, of MBA graduates, as also other employees, would be to embrace and maintain a spirit of integrity. For me, integrity can be summed up very simply into saying what one means, meaning what one says, and doing what one says one will do.